Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Irma Lawrence. I'm the National Program Leader for the Alaska Native Serving, Native Hawaiian Serving Institutions. And today I have the pleasure to talk to you about what the RFA, Request for Application, includes for year 2021. I thank you very much for being here. I know we're going through some trying times, and you being here with us at NIFA shows your commitment to your institution and your community. I greatly appreciate it. So with that said, I'm gonna have Kellyanne introduce himself, Dr. Kellyanne Jones-Jamtgard.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today, and I look forward to working with you all. I know I've interacted with some of you already, but thank you for joining us.
Doricel, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Doricel Resto. I am a program specialist for insular programs. Welcome, everyone.
Okay, next slide. Well, today what we're going to do is reintroduce you to USDA and NIFA. I know you, many of you are aware, so we're going to go and just briefly remind you of some points we want you to keep in mind. We're going to talk about the 2021 request for applications. We're going to give you some tips for a successful grant application, and we're going to have some time for questions. One of the things that has happened is we got some colleagues from ARS in the audience with us. So they're learning about the different activities that you do with us at NIFA. NIFA is one of the 29 agencies and offices at USDA. And I will let you know that we are part of the REE Mission Area, Research, Education, and Economics. And we happen to be at USDA the principal extramural scientific education and extension branch. So that means most of the work we do and the money we receive, USDA receive about $151 billion with $1.6 billion allocated to NIFA. That money, the agency doesn't use most of the money. They actually is given out in way of grants and formula funds for the institutions such as yours complete the work. Next slide. Again, here we are part of the mission area research, education, and economics. And we share that with the Office of the Chief Scientist, Agricultural Research Service, National Agricultural Statistics Service, and again, us, the National Institute of Food and Agriculture. So what do we do at NIFA? Well, we support, we invest in the advancement of agricultural research, education, and extension to solve problems. We fund 3 different, but at the same time, interrelated areas: research to providing and finding solutions, education to strengthen the schools, and outreach or extension to actually bring that knowledge to the implementation. Next slide. Here are some of the NIFA priority science areas from agroclimate science, bioeconomic, bioenergy, byproducts, education, environmental systems, family and consumer sciences, food safety, human nutrition, sustainable agricultural products, and youth development. Applying for NIFA. So many of you raise your hand if you have not applied for a NIFA grant. To apply for a NIFA grant, you need to be registered in grants.gov and in the SAM system. If you have never applied for a grant, you need to get started right away because this process might take even months. For your benefit, on our website, we have application instructions and submission requirements, not only the RFA, but actually we have an application guide. And very important is that when you apply, please do not forget to send any of the parts of the application. Applications need to be complete. If not, we cannot consider your application. It will get disqualified. All grants come to grants.gov, and all documents must be submitted in PDF format. We cannot read, the system cannot read well Word documents, Excel forms, et cetera, So to make sure we have a complete application and we could process it, please use PDF. And this might take some extra step for you or your sponsored programs office, but just make sure you give yourself enough time to do that. We encourage you to, after the webinar, go back and look at the request for application that is already in the web. One of the things that happens, if you look at the application for 2020-2021, it was revamped. There's a few changes. So please go and take a look at the newly posted revised application. And on this webpage at NIFA, you could actually find that grant application, and you can also view the RFA. Next slide. The deadline. The deadline is February 25th, 2021, and the grants are due at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is very important for you because many or most or all of you are not at Eastern Standard Time. So you have to keep track of these deadline. Your deadline might, it's not gonna happen at the same time. So please make sure you are aware of that. We expect to have a $3 million budget again, which is divided equally between Alaska and Hawaii. I wanna make sure you remember the program code, RD, and the CFDA number 10.228. And why? Because the program code tells the application system where to go, so it gets to us for us to review the application. The CFDA helps also find your proposals and take them electronically to where they need to be evaluated. If you happen not to put the program code or write the wrong program code, what it could happen, and it just happened last year, not anyone in this program, but in another grant program, the proposal got lost. And we could not find the proposal, and we were not able to panel the proposal. So saying that, I wanna let you know that after February 25th, 30 days after that, immediately after you send the proposal to grants.gov, you get a confirmation email. Within 30 days between February 25th, you're gonna get a confirmation email from NIFA. That means the application went from grants.gov to the NIFA system. If within 30 days you do not receive a confirmation email, please contact us, because your proposal might be lost within the system. So we have to go and actively try to find it. So again, 30 days after the deadline, don't wait 4 months, 5 months, 30 days. If you haven't received a confirmation email, and it goes to the email of the PD and I believe the AOR. So you need to have that confirmation. That means you are going to be considered for funding. If not, contact us. The other thing that is important is to type appropriately the email of the person who would like to receive that confirmation in the application, because if you don't type it appropriately or change emails in the process, you're not gonna be able to get a hold of that email. Okay, next slide. As you all might know, for being eligible to apply for this program, you need to be a public or private nonprofit institution, either in Alaska or Hawaii, and you have to be Alaska Native serving, and that means at least 20% of your students are Alaska Native, and you have to be a Native Hawaiian serving institution. That means that the undergrad enrollment is at least 10% Native Hawaiian. You must submit a certification of eligibility. So, this is important because if that certification is not there, we cannot process your award. So you need a designation as an eligible institution under Title III, Part A from Department of Ed, notice of award from the Department of Ed, or a certification letter from the AOR. So if you don't have any of those letters from the Department of Education, you could self-certify sending us a letter from the AOR, authorized representative. Next slide. Okay, so one of the things I want to say is as I'm talking and if you have any questions, just please feel free to type them in the chat. I think we said that before, but I wanted to repeat it. For the Alaska Native Hawaiian individual branches of a state university, as long as they are separately accredited, could apply for the program. 2 or 4 year independent branches that are geographically and administratively distinct from the main campus could do that. You could also have a collaborative arrangement that include the state government, private sector, and non-Alaska Native Hawaiian organizations. Next slide. One of the things is important is as you are writing this grant, think of how you're gonna try to reach the population. And one of the things is important for our other guests is that look at the population, 731,545. In 2009, Alaska, there were 5 institutions that received new awards on the Title III, Part A, Department of Education. And Alaska represents approximately 8,437 students. And the enrollment in institutions ranges from 81 to 5,400 per institution. Next slide. And as we look at Hawaii, the state population is about 1.4 million. In 2009, 10 institutions received new awards on the Title III, Part A from the Department of Ed. And together they have about 32,658 students. And enrollment at these institutions ranges from 1,400, a little bit more, to a little bit more than 6,000 per institution. So as you see, we have a variety of types of institutions. So when you write your application, think of those things. How could you work together? How could you leverage the funds that you're applying for to serve your students? Next slide. The purpose. What are we doing? What are we trying to achieve here with this grant program? Well, we're trying to make your institutions better and strengthen them to carry out education in food and ag sciences, research, and related community development programs. We want to enhance education equity for underrepresented students. We want to improve and strengthen your libraries, the curriculum you offer, your faculty, the instrumentation available for teaching and for research. Also, we're trying to attract and support undergraduate and graduate students from underrepresented groups. And as you think you know, this 10% of Native students, this 20% of Native students that is required for, you know, like for these two states, Alaska and Hawaii, you know, there's opportunity to grow and actually get more Natives to actually enroll in your programs. We actually want to make sure we could reach to the K-12 students to actually get them engaged and get them to consider pursuing a career in food and ag science. Finally, we're trying to maximize the development and use of resources available in your communities to improve the food and ag science education. And you know, eventually the food and ag system. Next slide. Here are all these kind of food and agricultural sciences that we're interested, but you know, the two-year colleges, you know, the larger colleges, you might or might not have a program as specific as these, but you have to think that all your basic STEMs disciplines support these programs: biology, chemistry, mathematics, business. All these things, all these programs actually support the food and agricultural sciences. Next slide. We have the project and grant types. We have education teaching projects. We fund extension projects, research projects, and integrated research education and or extension projects. And in the integrated projects, you need to include at least two of these three functions. It could be research and extension. It could be research and education. It could be education and extension. Next slide. Need areas. These are, we call them need areas. I also call them building blocks because we consider that these 6 need areas or building blocks are necessary for you to have a very strong program. Curriculum design, materials development, and library resources, the faculty, the delivery systems, scientific instrumentation for teaching, student experiential learning, which is one of my favorites because every time we take the students, especially underrepresented students, and give them hands-on experiences, the students bloom, they learn, and they get engaged. Student recruitment, retention, and of course, educational equity. Next slide. What could we do in the extension projects? And when we talk about extension, we talk about outreach, informal education to increase agricultural literacy. Have people in your community increase their understanding of the use of agricultural sciences, build science-based capabilities to engage audiences, and develop informed decision-making. You know, develop new tools, new ways to actually help the students learn, offer non-formal learning programs that increases access to new ideas and technologies, and develop programs that actually protect and enhance the nation's food supply, ag productivity, environmental quality, community vitality, and public health and well-being. So the whole idea is these projects will help you get the community engaged in solving problems that relate to food and ag sciences and the environment. Next slide. Standard grants support targeted original science education projects. Of course, you have to be an ANNH, and other partners could actually become your, be in partnership and work with you. The budget is $150,000 to $450,000 total per project, and the time frame is 2 to 3 years. Next slide. We also have Archaic Grant, which is a cooperative grant. And what we're trying to do is build linkages to develop a critical mass of people working towards a goal. Here we need 2 or more ANNH serving institutions, 2 or more institutions. You could also, in addition to 2 institutions, state government, private sectors, and non-Alaska Native Hawaiian institutions. And a part of the state government could be people that work at the Agricultural Research Service. The budget of these larger collaborative grants is $300,000 to $1 million per project. And again, the time frame is 2 to 3 years. Next slide. Project information, the lead institution can only submit 1 standard or 1 collaboration grant. Only 2 awards can be made to the same lead institution. There is no institutional matching required for these projects, so you don't have to worry about that. Next slide. Also the projects are 2 to 3 years. Sometimes you need a no-cost extension. However, all funds must be spent and withdrawn within 5 years. So that's the limit, the statutory time limit on these projects. The indirect cost is maxed at 30%, but you need to use your negotiated rate. Next slide. Applications. One of the things is, if you like, we would like to send you these PowerPoint so you could use it as a reference. And we want to make sure that we submit complete applications, including a project summary, 250 words, project narrative, 18 pages, and it gives you some guidance on the spacing. And you can also submit up to 5 additional pages with supporting figures and tables. Logic model is required for collaborative projects, and they are part, the logic model has to be included within those page limit. If you're resubmitting a project, you need to include a response to previous review, a data management plan, and the expected outcomes. Next slide. Evaluation criteria, we have 5 evaluation criteria. First is the potential for advancing the quality education and the significance of the problem that you're addressing. So in here, we're checking, and the panel review we're gonna be looking at, so what? How well are you addressing the needs of the community? How great is gonna be the impact? And also, we're gonna be looking at the proposed approach and cooperative linkages, which means is, you know, in this section, you will be writing how the project, you know, in the project, you need to think about the collaborators, who's gonna be working with you, what are you gonna be trying to achieve, and who's gonna help you, what resources do you need, you know, the timelines, all the things that are important. Institutional capability and capacity building. Well, here we address how well is the institution suited for completing the project? How engaged is the institution? Are they including letters of support? Are they vested? You know, are the goals of the institution linked to this project? Key personnel, how well is the staff, the director, the project director, the co-director, to actually carry this project. Last but not least, the budget and cost effectiveness. Here, the review panel look at how you're spending the budget and using it appropriately. and it's not only cost effective, but that you're using it in your expectations and use of the money is appropriate. Next slide. Important. You know, everybody's asked, okay, I'm submitting, my deadline is in February. When will I know if I have, you know, if I'm gonna get a grant? So the earliest you, to begin with, when you write a proposal, the earliest you could start your proposed activities will be around September 30th. And after we actually take the proposal, have the panel, it takes some certain amount of days to process the awards. As I said before, if within 30 days of the RFA deadline, which is March 25th, you haven't received a confirmation email, not only for grants.gov, but from NIFA, please contact us. So, so we have a 3 to 6 month cycle. So, so if we submit in March, you know, late August, September is when we're gonna have the results of the panel. Next slide. We have many resources in our website. They keep changing, they keep being updated. There's a NIFA grant training resource. Here's the link is right here in the presentation. Again, I mentioned before the guide for preparing and submitting an application to NIFA via grants.gov. Importantly, everything must be submitted as PDF. It delays the whole process if you don't do so. Okay, next slide. We thought to get you inspired and keep you thinking about what to write on your next proposals. We invited two success stories to current grantees, and I'm gonna let Kellyanne introduce our guest.
Yes, and I apologize in advance if I mispronounce any names. But first we have Dr. Anya Wixorek from the University of Hawaii at Manoa, who has had 2 successful grant applications with us to share some experience applying to our programs and managing these projects. So I'll turn it over to her.
Well, aloha everyone. You did a wonderful job pronouncing my last name. I am Anya Wieczorek, and I'm the Interim Associate Dean for Academic and Student Affairs at University of Hawaii, and specifically in the College of Tropical Agriculture and Human Resources. Quite often people ask me why I sound so funny. So I sound so funny because I was born and raised in Poland, and you know, I came to Hawaii about 20 years ago. But anyway, as you heard, I have 2 grants from this program. And our recent grant title is High Ag Consortium University of Hawaii Expanding Agricultural Education. And this specific grant, you know, when you look at the title, it tells you right away that we are a consortium project. And my co-project directors are located in 8 out of, including mine. So we are representing 9 of 10 campuses at University of Hawaii. So we are a very large project, and we are actually extending across all major islands in Hawaii. And basically our purpose of our grant, our project, is to strengthen the local agriculture and the food production workforce through education and training. And we, of course, concentrate on working with our underrepresented groups and provide them with education and most importantly, experiential learning opportunity And the outcome, what we're trying to do is to empower Hawaii residents to break from its negative cycle of resources and employment insecurity. And our project is designed in the way so it supports individual and businesses by ensuring equitable access to University of Hawaii education, to state and federal, and to the state and federal resources. And our efforts really go into the support, education, and diversify agriculture in Hawaii. And our project basically addresses the issues of food security, climate adaptation, social equity, and also very importantly, preserving agricultural land and Hawaii lifestyle. And, you know, as I mentioned, I have a partners, we're partnering with almost all University of Hawaii campuses, and we provide educational programs that target variety of degrees, and that includes Associate of Science degree, Bachelor of Science, and also graduate degrees. And when you look at the program emphasis and the needs, we basically are targeting curriculum design, materials development, and library resources, and student experiential learning, and of course, student recruitment and retention. And our bottom focus of the grant is to develop students' learning skills and building capacity among Hawaiian rural communities, specifically concentrating on Native Hawaiians and other historical underrepresented populations. So that's what our grant is about. And you know, I feel very fortunate to be able to work with such an amazing team of faculty that part of our consortium. And one of my recommendations for you guys is to start applying and working on the grant as soon as possible, because if you are working, especially if you're interested in collaborative grants and consortium, it takes a while to really put this grant together, especially if you have a large group of people like I do, because with 9 co-PIs or program directors, we have a time talking what we're going to do and how we're going to do that. But I have to tell you, put all that on that 18 pages. If we would have 100 pages, that would be so much easier. But really summarizing and getting to the point and being very clear and having very clear picture of what we're trying to do is difficult in that 18 pages. I think that we spent probably last 3 weeks when we're working on the grant, shorting the grant and fitting in that 18 pages. The other recommendation that I would have for you is to have somebody who is dedicated in your program, that especially if you have, again, big group of collaborators who is going to be managed all the program application. And Vanessa, who is on this call here, she does that for us. She does all our works with our fiscal office and things like that to make sure that the final submission of a grant goes smoothly. I think that the most challenging thing, you know, I am very familiar with grants.gov, so this is not a problem for me, and Vanessa has lots of experience in it as well. I think the most challenging thing for me and most nerve-wracking is what I don't have a control of, and that is the final submission when it goes through university system, because we have to submit it through our internal website that then links to the grants.gov, and that's a My Grants at UH system, and it requires number of approvals of your grant by the higher administration. And if I'm correct, I think that we have like 50 approvals that we need to go through before the grant is submitted. And we, I think, start with a basic document almost a month before the grant is due, because it takes that long to get that grant through our own system. Because what happens is that we need to have, as far as some of the chancellors or approving the grant, and sometimes it gets stuck somewhere in the system. It's very difficult to get it unstuck. So that would be my biggest recommendation, is to start working on your budget right away, have your fiscal office review your budget, and you can continue working on your narratives, but your budget should be set, as soon as you know what you're planning to do and how you're planning to do, is to work on your budget and have your fiscal support work with you on it, and try to, submit it through if you are submitting through the institutional systems, to make sure that you submit it early so your approvals can happen on time. Because my biggest fear is that it's not going to get submitted because it got stuck somewhere in the system. So that's all what I have to share with you guys.
Thank you so much for that great advice. And now we will turn it over to our representative from Alaska, Dr. Carrie Stevens, who has had 3 grants with the Alaska Native Hawaiian program. So Dr. Stevens?
Thank you, Kellyanne. I'm Carrie Stevens, and I'm an Associate Professor of Tribal Management at the University of Alaska Fairbanks, and within the College of Rural and Community Development. And as Kellyanne shared, I have been co-PI on the last 3 awards. However, our consortium within the College of Rural and Community Development has been participating in this ANNH program for over 15 years. And we're very thankful for NIFA, for this program, and really for Kellyanne and Irma's leadership and communication. And I want to say that that is very key to having a successful grants relationship. I think for me, I'll be very brief about our program and just some words of advice. As I mentioned, we are also a consortium like the last success story. And we include the Bristol Bay campus, the Chukchi campus. Our campus is the Interior Alaska campus, the Kuskokwim campus, and the Northwest campus, which are all independent campuses of the College of Rural Community Development. And they're located, as again in the previous model, across the state. And we are now closing out our Drumbeats Alaska Award, and in the final year of our Strengthening Alaska Native Stewardship Award, and currently implementing our new award, Investing in Sustainable Stewardship. For our programs, and I think one of the absolute keys to our long-term success is our relationship and our responsiveness to the Alaska Native community that we serve. We see this as their funding. We see this as their money. It is specifically set aside for them. And we're very appreciative of that. And that is a huge focus of our work. All of our programs, our work supports our academic programs, our faculty we would not have without this award, the curriculum that we develop in direct response to our Alaska Native partners and our Alaska Native students, is in tribal stewardship, environmental science, ethnobotany, high latitude range management. We also have sustainable energy courses and food sovereignty and security program. We initially also had a veterinary science program many years ago, and that was so successful it was absorbed into the larger UAF academic program. But my advice for any applicants seeking consortium or individual awards is really to base your work on your partnerships and needs of the Alaska Native and Native Hawaiian community, and that will bring you long-term success. I just honestly cannot focus on that enough. That relationship is what allows us also to have such a strong student base in our programs. We very much rely on our community partnerships at every campus, at every level, to build these responsive programs with our very unique sand science, food, and energy security needs in Alaska and within the Alaska Native community. So that is my one largest really key to success in this work, is connecting with those that you serve, those that this funding is intended for. I think for me, the other pieces were really mentioned by the previous speaker, who I appreciate all of her words. I cannot really emphasize enough to build a team, whether it is a collaborative or singular application, that it takes a team, and I can't be thankful enough for our program manager, Tammy Burns, and our finance person, Sheena Tanner, who are phenomenal Alaska Native women who do this work. It takes a very strong team. And with that, the team of your university contracts and grants office. That's like, you know, as Nia mentioned, that is outside of your control. And one of the reasons, as she mentioned, to start very early, because not only do you have to ensure we meet all of Irma and Kellyanne and USDA NIFA's requirements, we have to meet our institutional requirements. And so that's really critical. And honestly, I'm a very terrible bureaucrat, but because of the team, this process is really a positive one. And so those would be my main words. And also just being, whether you're even applying yourself, is to really just be collaborative, if you're not applying actually under the collaborative award, with others in your institutions. You know, over the years in this program, USDA, NIFA, ANNH, the long history of this program, there was lack of communication within universities in both systems. And I don't want to leave that elephant in the room there. And I think that it's important, because then we serve our Alaska Native students with better equitable programs when we work better together. So I appreciate you inviting me to speak, and I appreciate being here today. So Anabasi for that.
Thank you both so much for sharing not only practical advice about submitting the applications, but also great advice about the spirit of the program and serving Native students. And if anyone has any questions for either of our presenters, and if they're able to stay around, please feel free to type those out in the chat, and we will hopefully be able to get to those later. And so I'll go ahead and turn the presentation back over to Dr. Lawrence.
Thank you, Kellyanne. I also wanted to mention COVID-19 and keep it in consideration when you're writing your application, because at this time, because of the uncertainty of the future, we need to have a plan B and a plan C and maybe D, E, and F. Basically, what I'm trying to say, if you're planning a meeting, if you're planning having some experiential learning and all these things, try to be flexible and creative to make sure you are able to complete the activities. And maybe you wanted to have experiential learning in the first year, but you can't, and you have it to have it in the second year. And then what you propose for the second year, you have to have it on the first year. So, you know, think about being flexible and give it a thought about how your institution, your students, and your community is being affected, and how, as you actually develop the new application, in the current situation, how could it be implemented and how could you be effective? I also wanted to mention that we have resources, NIFA coronavirus resources for partners. There's some frequently asked questions. And please, if you're having trouble implementing one of the already, you know, one of the projects that you currently have, please contact us and we could work and brainstorm and figure out how to make sure that you could carry out your project, implement your project successfully. Next slide. We also wanted to talk about other opportunities. We not only want you to apply and successfully get grants for the Alaska Native Hawaiian. I'm gonna let Kellyanne talk about other funding opportunities currently available.
Sure. So we have an updated NIFA calendar on our website that I hope everyone will take a look at. That's where we publish any sort of webinars coming up, meetings, but also other funding opportunities. So if you have a project that doesn't quite fit with the ANNH program, we encourage you to look at some of the other opportunities we have as well and submit grants to those. So in this table, I'm just showing the WAMS program, the Women and Minorities in Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics Fields program. And then in the middle, you'll also see the SPECA program for secondary education. Both of those programs focus on the K-14 pipeline. So if that's more in line with projects you have in mind, those would be two great grant programs to look at, as well as the Biotechnology Risk Assessment Research Grants program, which is more of a research program than an education program. And then the Higher Education Challenge Grants program as well. And we had a webinar for that program earlier today, which will be available for viewing later as well. So I wanted to point out those opportunities, but as I mentioned, the NIFA calendar is the most up-to-date place that will have the funding opportunities listed. And we also have some upcoming events that may be of interest in December. On December 7th, we have a roundtable that is about genetics and data science with an Indigenous perspective. And this is an event that is that is a collaboration between NIFA, the National Institutes of Health, and the National Science Foundation. And I will be sure to send out the flyer for that event with a follow-up to this meeting. And there will also be opportunities with that event to meet in smaller groups around specific topics of interest for faculty. And then on December 9th, we also have a program about applying to NIFA competitive education grants at small or mid-sized institutions. And this webinar will focus on successful awardees from the HSI program, Hispanic Serving Institutions program, as well as the Research and Extension Experiences for Undergraduates program and the Professional Development for Agricultural Literacy program. We'll also give a broad overview of our education programs. So if you'd like to learn more about those and hear from other successful grantees, this will also be a great program to attend as well. And I'll turn it back over to Dr. Lawrence to close up.
Yes. So we have many opportunities for you. Again, I mentioned there about $1.6 billion at NIFA. I think over 100 million are competitive grants that you might be able to apply. And one of the best ways of learning how to write a good application is becoming a reviewer. So you could volunteer to be a reviewer and send us your email, your resume, your CV, and let us know that you're interested in being a reviewer. It's like going inside of the middle of the action and actually seeing what happens to your proposal. And everybody sends a proposals and they think and they try really hard to do their best. Sometimes they have enough time, sometimes they doesn't. But when somebody else looks at them and we bring reviewers that are demographically diverse, they're diverse in their training, their position, their point of view, their disciplines, and it gives it another way of looking at things and puts them for discussion. So it helps you understand how do you need to write your proposal to make it really competitive, to make it successful, and put it at the top of the list of proposals. It also gives you the opportunity to network with the NIFA program staff. We are wonderful. I would like to think we are, or at least we try. And other researchers and educators across the country. So, it's a good opportunity. We have been doing the panels via Zoom online. And I thought, maybe we cannot develop the networking and the working relationships via online, but all great reviewers have been proving me wrong. And, there is network happening. People are getting to know each other, talk about their collaborations, and actually getting their work done. So it is a good experience. There's a small token, and I think it's $225 per day. And I think it's about 3 days per program. You read the proposals before coming into panel, you send the reviews, and then you meet for 3 days as a group and discuss the proposals. It is a great experience. It's a very good learning experience. So I encourage you to volunteer to be a reviewer. Next slide. If you have any questions that we could answer, one of the things that I see is important, it's to remind you to write the right program code and the right CFDA number. And I know, Suresh, you are online. Is there anything you want to let the group know?
Thanks, Irma and Kellyanne, and thanks everyone for joining us today. First of all, I want to thank the USDA ARS participants who are here today. They are interested in partnering with Hawaii and Alaska universities in research and education projects. They may be able to support student internships, and in collaboration with them, these universities may be able to submit other applications for funding at NIFA, for example, the Agriculture Food Research Initiative. These projects can help address your needs in Alaska and Hawaii. ARS has the research expertise at the labs and can provide various opportunities for your students. So please make use of these opportunities. If you are interested, just send a message on chat, identify your disciplines so that they can get in touch. We can take your names and share with them. Again, thank you for attending. We have several programs at NIFA that may be of interest to Alaska and Hawaii. We want to be helpful. We want to be able to serve your needs. Let us know if we can be of help. Irma and Kellyanne are your immediate contacts, but you have my name too. Feel free to get in touch with any of us. Thanks for joining us today.
Okay. All right. Do we have any questions on the chat? And if we have ARS staff, that are on the line that want to introduce themselves and their topic of interest, I think we have 7 minutes left. And if you don't want to talk, you could actually write your name, contact information, and topic of interest, and I could serve as a mediator and help you get in touch with the right person. So if you're interested in bringing some students, faculty, etc., and just let us know who you are, where are you located, and the topic of interest. And we would like to develop more partnerships. I think, as we heard from our presenters, working together is the best way of achieving the greatest outcomes and impacts. Anyway, any other comments? Anybody wants to say something else? Raise your hand, unmute yourself. Okay, anything else of calling once, twice? Okay, well, thank you so much for being here with us. We're gonna have a continued discussions. We're planning to have a webinar or a Zoominar where what we're gonna do is just have chats. People talk about potential projects and try to bring some additional scientists that are willing, wanting to work with all of you. So good luck in your endeavors, and just feel free to contact us. It's nice seeing you all. Take care.
Bye-bye.